Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is Steven and this is the Storytime channel. We got some angry Karens to read about, so let's get right into the stories of the day. Our first story is by TinyMouseInBlueHouse. I don't know how much clearer I can say that I don't work here. A few years ago, I, female 20, went to a Party City type store here in Europe with my best friend, male 22, to buy some supplies for my birthday party. I've never been to this particular store, so I was just looking around, picking up stuff and asking my friend if I should buy this or that, him giving me advice on if that's useful or just a waste of money. For context, I was about 18 at that time, had on a short black t-shirt dress, sunglasses, big old hoop earrings, Vans, and a small handbag. Was in the middle of summer as well, so I just looked like a typical young girl shopping with her friend, or so I thought. I was looking at the confetti poppers and was holding up two of them to show my friend, who was standing like 5 meters away in another aisle, asking loudly, "Do you think I should buy these?" Cue confused lady, who looked about mid-50s, so not even that old. This conversation followed. "Excuse me, do you know where this particular item is?" "No, sorry, I don't work here." I turned around and put the confetti poppers away. "Can you just show me real quick where they are?" Again, no, I don't work here, I have no idea. At this point, I was sending help signals with my eyes to my friend, as I'm really not good with social interactions. "I just need to buy a few of them for my daughter and I can't seem to find them. Can't you just tell me where they are?" "Listen, I don't work here. I do not work here. I am 18 and I am shopping myself." Wasn't screaming, just pronouncing every word very clearly, as maybe she had problems with her hearing. My friend is laughing his butt off and finally decides to come over and give me a sort of alibi that I really am just another customer. "What are you trying to say?" "I am a customer, just like you. I walked in here in my own free time, picking up stuff for my own personal enjoyment. I do not work here, I am just shopping." At this point, an actual employee started packing shelves next to us, and confused lady must have connected the dots that all employees here are middle-aged women in a specific uniform, while I was neither middle-aged nor dressed in that uniform. She grabbed both of my arms, apologized a lot, and saying, "You just look like you work here," and shuffled away. I wasn't mad, just super confused, and my friend wouldn't let me forget that one. At least she was actually very apologetic. That's a thing that isn't too common with these kinds of people. That being said, if she grabbed both of my arms and started apologizing a lot, that would also make me pretty uncomfortable. I'm not really one that likes people coming into my personal space. Our next story is by bananicoot. I did not at all look like I worked there. Came across this sub and it reminded me of a time a few years ago when I was mistaken for an employee at a bulk food store. Then was told because I worked nearby, I should help anyway. I was on my lunch break and ran into the food store next to my workplace. I'm looking around, a little old lady asks me where the almonds are. I said very sweetly, "I'm not sure, I'm sure he may know," and point to an employee. She screws her face up like she bit a lemon. "How can you not know? Don't you work here?" I glanced down at my work shirt to make sure I wasn't the crazy one. It is a bright blue t-shirt with the logo in huge orange letters across the front and back, while the workers in this store wear black and red polos. I tried to not get annoyed and just stated I didn't work there and went to walk away. Then it clicks in the lady's mind that I'm from the store next door. "You must come here often then, how do you not know?" I turned to her with a smile and shrugged. I literally did not know. I always went in for a Gatorade and a bag of vegetable chips. When I get my stuff and go to the checkout, I hear the old lady complaining to an employee at another register. "The people that work at store names shouldn't be allowed in here, especially in their uniforms, especially if they're going to be rude and unhelpful. And yes, I will be going over there and talking to their manager too." I contained my laughter and left, never really knowing if that lady came into my store or not. Let me ask you this, if you heard this lady talking that stuff behind you at another register, would you want to go over and kind of say something to put her in her place? Would you want to just kind of say something loud enough where she could probably hear it from behind? Let me know what you would want to do in the comments down below. The next story is written by No Refuge for Degenerates. dude targets me and refuses to believe I don't work at the supermarket. This just happened as I was leaving the supermarket. As I told my hub about it, he suggested I post it while fresh. Stopped there to pick up a dish sponge and a half-gallon of milk, ended up doing a full grocery shopping. Excited at the prospect of going home with one less task pending and more time to play Trove with my son, I walked my cart full of food to my truck. This is where the I don't work here lady mess began. The parking lot is fair-sized for the supermarket. I drive a Ford F-150 and because it is raised, I find it easier to park towards the back of the lot so I can avoid the risk of not seeing someone walk behind the truck or park in my blind spot. About halfway through the parking lot, a man, maybe early 50s, begins calling out to someone and I don't pay it any attention since I am on the phone with a relative. The call was short and I hung up with my relative a few seconds before reaching my truck. I then get my shoulder grabbed and pulled by the same dude who was making noise at the front of the parking lot. What the freak? Don't touch me, dude.
Didn't you hear me? You need to take my cart back.
What? No, I don't. Walk it back yourself.
Just do your job, you lazy witch. You kids don't know how to work. Come on, go do what you're supposed to.
At this point, he grabs my arm and tries to budge me. I'm 5'10" and 200 pounds. A prominent aspect of my job is lifting heavy items. You will not budge me if I don't want to move. I told you not to touch me. I also do not work here. I am not wearing a uniform. I have no work badge. I'm trying to put the groceries I bought into my freaking vehicle. Leave me the freak alone. I wrenched his hand off of me and was so pissed that instead of punching him, I turned away and slammed my cart into my truck so I could finally leave this a-hole's orbit.
How dare you freaking touch me? And you just scratched that truck. I'm gonna get you fired and arrested for being a crappy employee.
Now the store employee, young man who picks up the shopping carts, jogs over to see what's up and is treated to witnessing me trying to get my groceries in my truck and the entitled mediocre tick a-hole grabbing my bags and slamming them on the ground. At this point, I'm all sorts of done and ask the kid to call the manager and the cops to pull up camera footage. I'm gonna need it. Store employee is like a deer in headlights but sets off to get help. Entitled mediocre tick is now trying to keep me from getting in my truck because a-hole. The whole time he is screaming at the top of his lungs about how I will be fired and arrested. Store employee came back, manager unavailable. Great. I asked the store employee to stay back since entitled mediocre tick is unhinged and used a small spray bottle of outdoor bleach mixture I keep in my purse to sanitize my work gear when I remove it. Sprayed it in entitled mediocre tick's eyes and that got him to budge. I then sat on entitled mediocre tick and I guess all that stuff was enough for the manager to show up when the store employee went back a second time to get him. The security guard was very quiet as he restrained the entitled mediocre tick while we waited for police. The manager apologized and asked for my receipt so they could replace my groceries and then showed the cops their footage of the cluster freak when they arrived. Turns out entitled mediocre tick has a history of assaulting against women. Shocking, I know. And an attempted kidnapping last year. The store employee theorized that entitled mediocre tick may have been trying to get me closer to his car since the car drop-off was 2 cars away from him. I'm pressing charges and the supermarket is gonna have to switch security companies. Where the freak was the parking lot security guy? Chatting up teenage girls on the other side of the parking lot. I'm so freaking pissed because it could have gone way worse for me or another woman. Update. Got a call from my lawyer this morning that entitled mediocre tick was trying to get released from custody last night because his elderly mother made a scene at the station. My lawyer wasn't having it and knows I sure as shoot wouldn't either. Bail was already high, but the on-duty officers were ready to let this a-hole walk out because they didn't want to hear her whine and scream anymore. What the freak? His butt will have to sit tight until Monday or Tuesday. That is an incredibly scary situation to look back on and realize he wasn't mistaking you for an employee. He was literally trying to kidnap you. That's terrifying. The dude should stay behind bars. I was gonna say that you might be in trouble using the bleach in the eyes, but like, this dude sounds like he deserves it. Hopefully that small detail doesn't get OP in any trouble, and hopefully this guy gets charged accordingly. Our next story is by LurkingLikeFreddy, Buy Me Dinner. My neighbor is a 70-something cat lady who will take me to lunch every other weekend in exchange for lifting all the cat litter and cat food at the pet store and then unloading it at her place. Last December, before everything, the store decided they weren't letting carts leave the building. So I took the first bunch of bags to the car and went back while she got the car started and pulled up to the doors. On the last trip inside, a Karen grabs my wrist and snaps, "You're helping me next." I give the "sorry, I don't work here" spiel, and she seems to absorb that I'm not wearing a polo and khakis and that I'm listening to music. This does not stop her though. "Well, you'll still help me anyway." And with the desperation of having held back a joke I'd wanted to make for years, I said, "You'll have to buy me dinner first," and left. I mean, if she wanted to tip me, I'd probably take the groceries out for her. But unless she looked like she really needed it, I'm probably not going to offer my services for free, especially when I'm helping an elderly friend out and they're already in the car waiting. Our next story is by Smurf27. I hope I don't get fired from the job I don't have. This is my first post, so be gentle. My summer work uniform consists of khaki pants and a plain red polo shirt, so you see where this is going. It's been very hot this week, and I decided to stop at Target on the way home from work to pick up some ice cream and popsicles for my family. I made it 10 feet into the store when someone asked me if I worked there. I kindly explained that I did not and moved on. Soon after, I was standing near the ice cream freezer with a shopping basket in my hand when a college kid asked me if the store carried a certain brand of ice cream. I showed her my basket and explained that I didn't work there, but realized that my outfit totally made me look like I did. We both had a good laugh about it and started looking for the ice cream brand together. While we were looking, an older woman stalked up to me and yelled, "You've been helping her long enough. Now show me where the dog food is." I held up my basket, now with several boxes of popsicles in it, and explained that I did not work there. She got really upset and told me that even if I was on my break and shopping, that I still had to help her. I slowed down my speech and said, "I do not work in this store." That set her off and she stormed off to find the manager and get me fired. The college kid next to me laughed through the whole incident and told me to post it here. Well, I'm glad the college kid could at least understand it and make a fun moment of it and actually turn the moment into a moment of levity despite the experience here with the Karen. And our next story is by Huge Just Sell, I Know. The look on his face was priceless. I live in the US. If you are not aware of what a vendor is, it is basically a grocery delivery driver or stalker who stocks the stores with their own product line. We are constantly asked where products are because people aren't aware that we do not work for the store. Most of us will let a customer know that we don't work there, or if we know where the product is, try to guide them in the right direction. On this particular day, I was at a Target and my shirt was black and my shorts were black, and on my shirt was a huge logo of the chip company that I work for. I was stocking these small convenience-sized chip bags that are in the checkout lanes when there was a lady trying to figure out which lane was moving the quickest. She would go back and forth and change lanes often. She seemed agitated and entitled. It took a minute for me to realize that her husband was standing with the shopping cart and a bit annoyed by her, so he was just looking at his phone while she continued to try and find the fastest lane. This is when she looked up at me and raised her eyebrows and said, "Well?" I looked to the side and behind me to see if she was talking to someone else. I turned to her and said, "I'm sorry, are you talking to me?" She glared right into my eyes and said, "Well, are you going to open another check stand?" I replied, "I'm sorry, but I'm not that smart. But if you want, I can ask a Target manager to train a potato chip vendor really quick on how to open up a register." This is when I noticed the husband look up from his phone right at me and he just smirked with a satisfying smile. She then finally looked at the logo on my shirt and rolled her eyes and just continued to another lane. The husband slowly followed her to that lane and gave me one last look. I have to admit, I was a little nervous, but I'm glad I said it. This lady's giving absolute attitude and she's obviously agitated and entitled, so God forbid you give a little bit of attitude back in a joke. She can deal with that. And our final story of the day is by fredzred. Yes, I work here, but not today. Cameron throws a tantrum when she doesn't get what she wants. This happened when I worked at Target many years ago. I was 17 and working full-time after dropping out of school. Anyone who works in retail will understand how annoying it is when you get a customer wanting help while you're on break or just finishing your shift. This happened on my day off when I wasn't in uniform and was wearing clothes that didn't resemble the uniform in the slightest. I was doing some shopping at Target when a customer stopped me to ask for help. I didn't recognize her and I wasn't sure if she thought I worked there or just wanted help from a stranger. I would have been happy to help either way if she'd asked nicely, but the way she was talking to me made it sound more like a demand than a request. Hey you, where's the toys? Are you talking to me? I don't see anyone else here, so who would I be talking to? Huh? So where are the toys? Even though I wasn't working at the time, I knew that any of my bad actions reflect badly on the store. I don't know if this is a thing, but it's the way I thought of it. So I decided to play dumb instead of being rude back to her. It depends on what toys you're looking for. Boys' toys are at the hardware store down the street. Baby toys are in nursery. Kids' toys are in that direction. The adult shop is at the other end of the mall and gym equipment is in the back of the store if you want to get creative. Karen stared at me with a confused look on her face for a few seconds before she replied, I want kids' toys, you idiot. You work here so you should know where they are. Where are the kids' toys? If you want to throw a tantrum, I'm not going to help you. You have yourself a wonderful day. And I went on with my shopping and ignored her. I said this in the nicest and slightly patronizing customer service voice I could get out and with a big smile on my face. I wasn't in uniform, so I wasn't obligated to help her. If she had asked me nicely, I would have been more than happy to help her. Being polite can get you a long way in life. Yeah, honestly, no matter how annoyed I am or how agitated I am, if I'm going to ask someone I think is an employee for something in a store, I'm going to try and be as polite as possible. Unless the circumstances are so overbearing or this person is responsible for an attitude, I'm gonna try and be respectable. And I would hope in turn if I confuse the wrong person, maybe they would be respectable back because of the positive attitude. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So if you have a favorite story of the day, tell me which one and why in the comments down below. Besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like, and if you haven't yet, subscribe and turn notifications on. Both of those things help the channel grow so incredibly much. So no matter what you did, whether it was liking, whether it was just watching the video, whether it was subscribing for the first time, thank you all so very much for supporting me right here on the Storytime channel. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, and I'll be right here the next time you want to hear some exciting Reddit stories.